Yeah, good evening, everyone. Hope I'm audible and everyone could see my screen here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice. So where are we, guys? I think this is the part we have done. I think admin and test is the one what we have given. Yeah. So we have created a single page web application. We got a good idea of what do you mean by a single page web application. On the top, we got some good idea what are the steps need to be followed in order to uh, in order to create a web service within your node.js, isn't it? So we created this web service called as valid user credentials. We have seen how do we specify the URL path, and we have even seen like how do we send the data from the client side to the server side, both post and get data, isn't it? So we have seen like how do we pass the non-sensitive information and sensitive information using the get and post communication. So those things we had a look into. Okay. So any other questions, guys, with the web service or etc.? In fact, like we have created a web service right now. We could able to give some ID and password. If I'm giving some wrong ID password, it is validating. It is saying like invalid credentials. And if you inspect these guys, we are not hard coding anything from the client side. If you see when I'm clicking on login, it is going to one of the login web service, validate user data login web service. The web service is telling whether it is valid or invalid credentials, isn't it? And this is what the web service we have written. So any questions up to this, guys? Anyone?
Sir, I tried this, sir, but I am getting a problem at the login, sir. I mean, whatever the credentials I give, it is taking to the product database.
Whatever the credentials you're giving, it is taking to the product details. Okay, you want to share your screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me get the host access. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, Hemant, I haven't yet got, I mean, I already updated them. So once I get the host address, I'll give the permission so that you can share it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, and one more thing, sir.
Go ahead, Hemant.
If we reload the page, once can you go to the product data page, sir? I mean, click on login, sir.
Okay.
Once reload the page, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. Again, we are coming back to the login page now, sir. So how to stay at the page itself?
This is where the concept of sessions is going to come. I intentionally added this piece of code. In fact, like this is what the default thing happens. And the topic what we cover is sessions. So using your sessions concept, once the user is loading, either you can go with the sessions or there is a concept of JWT also, JSON web token. So any of the logic you can make use, and we can make the user, even though on reload, you could able to check whether the user is already a logged in user or not. And based on that, we can actually load it. For now, it is not implemented. We will come to that topic. Okay. Fine. Yeah. So coming back to our general discussion, guys. So the next step, what actually I wanted is, when I'm giving my ID and password here, yeah, once we give this guy the ID and password, you should able to see the product details page, but the data of the product is not getting loaded. Okay. So in order to get the products to be loaded, remember we have already done a single DHTML coding where we hit a Ajax URL. It is going to respond back with list of all the products, and we used to dynamically create the DHTML coding, and we used to load the content on the page. Remember? Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So I want to implement the same. I want to copy the same piece of coding so that I can get the product details part. Okay. Let's go back to the first of all service. Remember, we have already created one of the service called as product details here. Okay. And what this product details is having, if you see, this product details is having a array of products, and we used to send it. I want to take the same product details.js. Okay, let me copy the same web service. I want to keep into your web application under the routes folder. This is what the web service is there. So if you see into this web service, same coding here. Earlier we have already written this, but at that time we have written this web service without any knowledge of web services concept. But now we could able to take a object, under that we have array of objects, array of product details, and we simply return, instead of 4000, let me say some 100, so that I can return in 100 seconds of time. Once the web service is ready, do we need to specify the path over here under app.js? Okay, so let me include that guy, app.js. I say where product data router is required. Okay, dot slash routes folder, under that product details. Okay, and take this product data router. Where is that? App.use get product data. Okay, under that I'm going to do this. Okay, and it is a get communication or post communication? Yeah, it's a get communication. Okay, so what I need to do is, we just need to hit this guy. We have created a web service. Now let us say localhost 8081 slash get product data. Now we click on enter. It is saying not found. Why the reason? Server need to be restarted, right? So I need to say npm start. On restart, it should able to respond back. Now if you see, when I'm hitting this guy, we are getting the product details. So any questions up to this, guys? So you can even go through the code of the product details guy. So you see here the same, we are including an express guy, we are taking a router instance. There is a data object under that array of product details are there, and you're converting the object into the string and sending back to the user. Earlier we were using the set timeout method so that we can delay that guy. Now I can remove this guy. We don't even need to delay this guy. At that time, remember, we were about to, I was demonstrating the delay. Whenever there is a delay with the server side coding, how you're going to put a loading message, we have discussed. And we have even seen when there is an error at the server communication, how you're going to handle those things. We had a look. Okay. So hope everyone is clear up to this. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Now, what is our requirement? My requirement is once the user is logging into this page, we should able to see the product details within this page. Okay, I don't want to see this message called as products about to be shown, but I want to see the product details. We have even done that, guy. Remember when we have done this product details, guys, with an Ajax call? Does anyone have an idea of the date when we have done that? Circular gradients. This is all HTML5, CSS3. Strong number. Oh, this is too. Okay, localhost 22 DHTML, right? This is what we have seen. I say load product data. Okay, actually the product data won't get because we were hitting the web service. Oh, it is hard coded. Why so? We have done the dynamic one also, right? November 23rd. Yeah, this should be the dynamic one. If I click on load product data, not coming. If you go inside, if you go into the app.js file, we are hitting a web service called as this guy. See, we are hitting this web service, getting the data, and we were rendering the data. Now what I want to do is I would like to take the same piece of coding. Okay, copy this guy. I will create a JS file here under the JavaScripts, new file, product load.js. Okay, under the product load.js, I'm just simply copying the code, whatever we have written earlier. Okay, and on the top, we need to have the HTML. Okay, I think HTML part can be done. So if you see, we are going for the create product details. Okay, first of all, let me close all this to not to confuse. Guys, let me know if you're getting confused, guys. I know, I mean, when you're combining this UI and the server sides, there is a chance of confusion, but let me know. Okay, so the first thing is under main.js, we know that whenever we click on load product data, this is what you're doing. Simply dollar of main HTML so and so. But now instead of that, what I want to say is I will say load products on page. Okay, this is the piece of method. Where is that? Yeah, load products on the page is the method what I'm going to call. And where I'm going to define this, we are going to add in this guy. So in this guy, I'm going to go for load product data. Yeah, I need to call this guy here, load product data on page. Okay, so now right now we are not implementing any loading and all. If you want, you can try that. We have already done that guy. Okay, and no consoles, nothing. Error block also, we don't have it right now. We simply say so and so. Okay, when I go with this Ajax, it is removed. So the only thing what I need to do is, do I need to give the new web service what we have created? This is a new web service, right? So I simply pass this web service to this guy. Okay, so hit this guy, get the data and API, REST API, so and so. Okay, super fine. Loading block, I don't have the loading block here. Let us see whether it is happening or not. Now, once I'm reloading the page, let's inspect this guy. Okay, go to the network tab. Now I'm saying user ID is admin and test. Now, once I click on login, it is saying valid. Then why it is not going for the next guy? Because it is saying load product page is not defined. Obviously, I need to include the product load.js, right? So I say script src is under the JavaScripts. It is product load.js. Okay. So, oh, why I'm restarting? It is not needed because something you change on the UI, no need of restart. Now I say admin and the password is test. We click on login. We are getting a message. Super fine. But first of all, if I'm hitting this web service, we are getting the data. Super fine. After getting the data, what actually we are doing here, we are calling the load data. Okay. This load data is calling which guy? This guy is calling the bottom guy. We are calling a for loop. Under that, create product details. And what this create product details? Okay, this is where the problem is. You see, we are trying to take a product details container where you want to append it. But right now, when you go into the master page, we need to append to the main page, main DOM element, right? I simply say $of main dot append. Okay. And one more thing, what I'm missing is CSS properties. Once we copied the UI, we need to take this product tab dot CSS also. Okay, so let me take out that guy too. Get new web application public under the CSS file. I'm putting the product app. So let us include that guy into our master page. Link CSS product tab dot CSS. Okay, come back here and reload the page. I say admin test. When I click on login, this is how I am getting the data. But you see here, I'm getting the products page, but why the hell login is not going here? Okay, you know the reason? We need to empty this guy. First of all, the existing content has to be removed. Then the new content has to be loaded, isn't it? Now I say dot empty is a predefined method of jQuery, which will clear out all the inner HTML content of it. Okay. Okay. Now if you save this guy and come back here and reload the page, I go for admin and test. Once I click on login, this is how the product data is getting shown. Okay. Still some CSS can be modified. The first thing is why this guy is not getting a scroll. The main tag should be, I can make it as overflow auto. Okay, so that everything will be under this guy. So let us go to the CSS. Under the CSS file, I can make it as login. This guy as overflow auto. Okay. Yeah, so this is how the product details got rendered, guys. Again, you can actually work on making it more beautification, guys. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. I can help you on it. Okay, so this is how we are working on this guy. We could able to load the product details. Super fine. Now you guys tell me. Okay, one main thing what I see is again, I'm not going to work anything called as a server side. There is a concept, something called as templating concept within the UI part itself. Okay, let me cover that. Then actually I will go with the remaining part of the server code. Okay, now again we are making use of the servers. The client side coding itself. Okay, now under the client side, I would like to discuss one of the issue here. If you see, when I say product details, it is an array. Okay, where you are getting the array, it is we are hitting this web service, we are getting the data. Now load data, it is running a simple for loop here. And what the for loop is doing, whatever the list of all the product, whatever the product details are there, this piece of code from line number 4 to line number 20, it will be keep on repeatedly doing the same for the all the products what we have, isn't it? Now I have one of the product. First thing what I need to do, okay, one more thing you see here. Yes, I think our li tag is missing here. You know, if it is main tag, I need to add a li tag as per the syntax. Where is that guy? Main.js. Main dot dollar of main dot append ul tag dot append ul tag. Okay, for this guy, now under the product details, I say main space ul. Okay, now let us see how it is getting rendered. I say admin and test. When I click on login, still I'm getting the same look and feel. Okay, the reason is while giving the CSS, we have given this product details container as a dependency. There is a problem. Okay, so what I will do is under your main.js, you will class equal to so and so. Okay, so while you are adding the piece of code, instead of main tag, you simply say dot product details container. Okay, save this guy, come back here, reload the page. I say admin and test. Once I click on login, this is how the product details are getting rendered. This is what we have done earlier. Okay, yeah. So now my question is, boss, this piece of code from line number 4 to line number 20, aren't we not repeatedly calling this piece of instructions for every product here? You take a product under the array, you say create a ULI tag, under that UL tag, under that product name, etc., etc., etc. things you are doing. Now my question is, right now you have 3 or 4 products. Okay, you will repeat this method. What if in future you have thousands of products? You have 1000 products of coding, product need to be loaded. Then do you think that it is a valid way of create the li tag, create the ul tag, create the li tag, adding all the HTML? I mean, it's like unnecessary. If you clearly see the main advantage what you have with these multiple products is, aren't this all the products are having the same type of look and feel? Yes or no, guys? If you clearly, is it not same for every of the products? Yes. Now, when the look and feel of the product is going to be same, the only thing what dynamic is the data under the product data. Now, why don't you make the data as dynamic and keep the look and feel static? Okay, why don't we make the data as a dynamic and we want to make the look and feel as a static here? So how you want to implement it? This is where we are going to have a concept, something called as templating concepts. A very, very, very important concept, guys. This is actually a UI part, nothing to do with the server, but I want a real-time example. So that is the reason I paused this topic. I know that I will be covering this topic in your project part. That is the reason I'm going to do this now. Okay. So what do you mean by templating concept? So what do you mean by templating here? Before that, let me show you. If I inspect this guy, this is the UL tag. Sorry, this is the li tag which is getting created. Now, when I edit as a HTML, copy this guy and paste this guy here. Okay. So let us say view word wrap. Okay. So I say li, under that li, li, li. Well, yeah. If you clearly see, is this is what the structure we wanted for every product. The only thing what will be missing is instead of laptop, we have to put something called as some span tag, empty span tag. I need to keep it, isn't it? In the same way, at the time of 8000, in the same of Sony, and image source also, we can't add anything. Dynamically, it has to be added. Okay. This we call it as a template. This is the look and feel. This is a piece of individual HTML part which need to be generated every time you want to create the look and feel of the product. And why the reason I'm calling it as a template? There are two reasons. One thing is template is not a complete HTML part. It's only a piece of look and feel. It is not starting with the HTML tag. It's only the piece of look and feel what you wanted. And the second reason why I'm calling this template is, if you see, there is no data here. Only the static part, product name, product price, manufactured. Is it not same for every other product? Doesn't matter, 10 products, 1000 products, or million of products, the same look and feel, same LI tag, same UL tag, under that LI, product name, etc. and all. Only thing what is need to be filled is the data. This is what the data which need to be filled. Now what I'm saying is, boss, instead of what we have done earlier, create a li tag, create a ul tag, add a class to it, create a li tag, doing this, instead of wasting your time those many number of times, why don't you create a static template like this and dynamically inject the values inside this? Is my job will be done, guys? So through that, you're going to save huge time in not to rewrite the piece of code, not to recreate the DOM elements. Instead, you take this guy and inject the values inside it. As simple as it is. So this concept, we call it as a templating concept. So any questions up to this? Anyone? Okay, good. Guys, what happened to others? I mean, hope everyone is there in the class. I'm only getting the response from one. What about others?
Sir,
Okay, nice. So how do we implement this templating? So we understood the concept of templating, that we create a static HTML and inject the data dynamical. So anytime a new product is coming, take a copy of this guy, okay, inject the values of the laptop, so and so, so and so. Now another product is coming, again take a copy of this guy, inject the values inside into this dynamically. So that is what our roadmap is. I mean, that is what we need to achieve on this. Okay. Now, how do we achieve this? In order to implement these guys from outside, there are lots and lots of template APIs available. Outside world, there are lots of templates APIs are available for us. What do you mean by API? We know that API, application programming interface, which is a library also, we can call it as library, API, anything. Okay, so what actually those guys will do? Those guys will help us. Now, when we are going for the jQuery, why the reason we are going for the third-party library called as jQuery? So that anytime you do some changes or anytime you want to implement the DOM operations, you can do it simply, isn't it? So you can make it more simpler whenever we want to perform the DOM operations. In the third-party API, third-party libraries are available. It is going to, if you are not, yeah. So what I'm saying, yeah. So the third party libraries outside available for us, what actually they will do, they provide a help for us in creating this template. I mean, your template, you will be creating it, in injecting the data dynamically to that. That is what they help they are going to provide. Okay, so now let us see what are the templates which are available and how actually they are helping us in creating the templating concept. Now, if you see, my main intention is I want to remove this piece of code. I simply want to remove this piece of code. Only this part I'll be adding. but I want to write some piece of code where you could able to inject the template content. Now, in order to do this templating concept, as I said, you third-party libraries are available. Example, jQuery load template API. jQuery itself is providing an external library called as jQuery load template API. There is something called as Mustack.js. There is something called as Mustack.js. There is something called as handlebars. Okay, handlebars like this. There is something called as Jade. There is something called as Pug. Like this, there are lot of APIs. Obviously, right? When there is some reusable thing, what user wanted, lot of APIs competition. They are just providing us on a free of cost. You can make use any of the thing. Now, among all this, I would like to go with the handlebars. One main thing is APIs are many, libraries are many, but the job what they're doing are going to be the same. Okay, under the background logic is not going to be changed anything. Only thing is, only thing is the way, how do you make use of the particular templates, or how do you use the APIs? That is what it differentiates. Remaining all, it's going to be same as it is. Am I clear, guys, here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now let us see how we are going to make use of this handlebars. In order to make use of the handlebar API, okay, so let us go into handlebars. Okay, there is a dedicated web page, handlebarjs.com. Okay, under this, it is providing a good templating, good documentation, etc. Anytime you want to make use, you can just make use of it. Now, in order to get started, what actually it is saying, if you see here, wherever you want, if at all you have to make use of the handlebar, the very first thing is they are having some external JS file like this handlebar.js. If you hit this guy, this is what the handlebar.js file is there. So if at all you have to make use of this guy, what I want to do is I want to take a copy of this in local. That is what we do with jQuery also, right? As it is a third party library, you take a copy of it into the local. Oh, where I'm doing Control Z.
So we
Yeah.
can also directly link this
Yeah,
file.
you can directly link that guy also, the link whatever you have. Only limitation is you need to be online every time. That's it. Other than that, it's going to be the same.
Yes, sir.
So I'm saving it under the library folder. We already seen the jQuery library. Now we are going with the handlebar.js also. Now, once you are using this handlebar.js, the second thing what I need to do is, what is this guy? Let's remove this. CSS, let's remove this main index.html. So under the index.html, I need to go with the script tag. src is dot dot, not dot dot. You can say JavaScript, under that the lib folder, under that the handlebar.js. Okay. So now the library is ready to make use. The next thing what I'm doing is whatever the structure we needed, this is what the structure we wanted for every product. I'm taking this guy. Okay. I'm going into index.html. Under the index.html, I'm creating a simple div. Okay. I say ID equal to product template. Okay, style equal to display none, because I can't show that look and feel for the user, right? I'm hiding that guy and I'm creating this empty template within my master page itself. I'm doing this, but if you refresh this guy, do you see the product template here? No. Why? The reason we have hidden that guy. That's a piece of template we have created. Anytime you want it, you can just make use of it. Okay. Next thing. The next thing what we have is anytime you want to make use of this handlebar, he said only one thing. You need to create a template and you need to execute the template. Okay. Let me implement the code, guys. Then I will give the explanation for you. So what I'm saying is go to the product load.js. Okay. When you want to create the product here, I simply say template equal to handlebars.compile. Compile here. this product template is there, right? $of dot product template, sorry, it's hash product templates dot html or dot yeah, html only, because I want the complete content, right? Okay, and the next step what you have is you need to do this template of so and so. Okay, I need to say append this template li main. I can do this guy. Okay, but one thing is, instead of this, I need to go with the p data here. Okay, save this guy. I will give the explanation, guys, don't confuse. Go to the UI. Under this, I go for admin and test. Once I go with the login, this is how the product data is coming. See, the very first thing what you have is you have the product template got created for every of the product. See, li tag got created, under the UL tag got created, under the product name, price, manufacturer, every other thing is getting created, man. And if you see here, am I wasting my time in recreating the li tag, recreating that element, adding the class, adding the inner HTML? Are we doing it? No, not at all. So what we are doing is we are taking the help of handlebars template. What that guy is doing is he is providing some methods and all. What he says is, boss, first of all, you create a HTML template. Okay, boss, this is what we created. Now, under the template, give the template to me. Whatever the template you created, give that to me with the object what you want. Now, I will be doing this. Now, if you see, the problem what you have is you're not seeing the product name, price, manufacturer, and R. Why so? We are giving an object. If you see, we are calling a method called as template. We are giving an object. Under that object, you have product data. But how come the handlebar API will know what product data has to be kept under this guy? Under the product name, what I need to put, under the product price, what I need to put, under the manufacturer, what I need to put. So we haven't given an option, right? Now here, you simply say two flower braces open and close. Okay. And what is the response of the product, guys? I mean, what is the key we have given? Under the product load, let's go into the routes here. I can see that it is name, price, manu, and image. Okay. So what I go here is simply say name. I say open and close the flower braces, name, price. Okay, let us see whether name, price are coming or not. Let us see here. Once I'm reloading the page, I say admin and test. Once I click on login, do you see for every product, you got the name and the price? Why so? Now you are mentioning that what key and what corresponding value you need to be injected here. Now, whatever the object you're passing from this guy, see here, you're saying template of P data. What is this P data? Individual products. Now you give this, it is automatically taking care of adding the data of it. Okay. In the same way, manufacturer, you simply say two flower braces open. These guy will be manufacturer. And here, once you reload the page here, now I say admin and test. Okay, now once I click on login, do you see the product details are getting added? Yes. Now the advantage what you have is, if you really you go into the code here, are we really wasting the time in creating the li tag, ul tag unnecessarily a number of times? Not at all. We are simply creating a template. Now we are calling the template API handlebars. I'm saying that handlebars.compile. What is the HTML code which we have already created under the index guy with a display none property. Okay. Now for this guy, whatever the template we have created, take this template, add into the container called as product details container, which we are already creating. So this is how simple we can make use of the templating. I know that we have wasted a lot of time in creating the DOM elements dynamically, adding the classes, etc. things and all, but it is all good to have, guys. You might not be using in the project because nowadays everyone is going for the libraries. Okay, there are some predefined thing, you just make use of it, get the job done instead of you doing it manually. But that coding will be always helpful, guys, because not every time you'll be getting a what do you say, uh, you're not every time you'll be getting a way where the APIs are providing. Okay, sometimes you need to customize the things. So once you are, as you are already clear with the DHTML part, you will be clear with the customization. How do we create elements dynamically, adding the content, etc. So as you guys are already clear, so you can just make use of it. But on the top, it is better you go with always the third party libraries, like the libraries I have listed out, right? You can just make use of them. And one more thing, guys, when you go to the frameworks like Angular, React, or Backbone, or Knockout, Vue.js, Cane.js, etc., and all, when you go for them, at that time, you don't need to have this. You don't need to go for this templating APIs. Why so? Guys, anyone attending the Angular or React classes here? Anyone? No one? No one has started the Angular or React, guys? Okay, so guys, make sure, like, I mean, if at all time you have the time, you ASAP do that, guys. Okay, and once you go into these frameworks like Angular or React, you will be hearing a word or a very what do you say, the important feature, or you can call it as a heart of the Angular framework or the React framework. There is a concept, something called as data binding concept. So what do you mean by data binding? Data binding is the data what you define within the JavaScript is directly available within the UI. In general, within the UI, if I say value of the JavaScript has to be done, you need to use the DHTML coding, manually take it and add it. But in case of your Angular or React, both of them support the concept of data binding. Data binding is the concept of dynamically taking the data and dynamically injecting the data into the UI. Okay, automatical happens. You don't need to write the DHTML coding and all. And when you go with Angular and React, the main advantage what you get is you write the less JavaScript code, because any logics, whatever has to be done on the UI, for that you have some directives, components, etc. stuff. Okay, so anyway, if you go there, and again, I already said you guys, but once again I'm telling, you're already into the UI full stack part. But if you just to have an idea, if you get some time and you could able to get the what do you say, concepts of either Angular or React, that will really help you in fetching your job. Okay, so try to do that ASAP. Don't waste your time. Okay, so any questions up to this, guys? How do we loaded the product details dynamically? Now, if you see, nothing is hard coded. It's all through the web service. Okay, how do you monitor the web service? You can go into the network tab here. See here, once I'm reloading the page. Okay, I'm giving some admin. And once I click on login, you see here, 2 web services got invoked. The very why this guys coming? Okay, the first web service what you have is login, checking whether it is user is valid or not. Once he is valid, we are hitting another web service to get the list of all the products page. We already know this. In a single page, any number of Ajax calls can be added. Okay. So next, any other questions here? Anyone? Okay. Hope everyone is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm back again. Hope you am audible back. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So the next part, what you have is now we got a bit of idea. How do we hit a web service? How do we get the data? And how do we interact with the from client to the server side? And what do you mean by templating concept, etc. And single page web application concept. Those things we had a look into. Okay. Now I'm reloading this page. We are giving the ID and password. Once I'm clicking login, it is going to the server, validating the data and reverting back to us. Super fine. Now you tell me, and in the same way, product data also getting generated dynamically. Can you guys tell me the page what we have created? Can I say that it is 100% dynamic? No, no, guys.
No, sir. Because we hard code the data.
Exactly. So if you see here, the main problem what you have is you are actually hard coding the data. Okay, we are hard coding the data at the server side. At least for the UI guy, it is all dynamic. But when you come to the server side, either you go with when you go into the web services like product details.js or valid user credentials, we are actually hard coding the data here. Either the UID or password, everything is hard coding. Now my expectation is I don't want to go with the hard coding. I want to get the dynamic data. So now you guys tell me, how do I dynamically check whether the user ID and password are valid or not? First of all, in a real-time environment, where actually we are going to store the data?
Database, sir.
Obviously the database. The reason why people go with the database, why not files or etc and all, the reason for going with the database is under the database the data is getting organized. It is storing the data in a organized format. It is not like combining all. The reason why people don't go with the files is the data what we store inside the files is a raw information. It is not so easy to retrieve or easy to write into that. But when you go into the database, it is storing the data in the form of a tables, and that is where you're going to retrieve the data. Now, what is our expectation is, boss, in our application, we created a UI. UI is going to hit to the server. Server is returning the data. Instead of server returning the data, why don't we make the server guy to connect to any of the database? From there, it throws the data back to us, or it validates the data back to us. So now let us move to, we got some idea on the UI, we got some idea on the server side. Now let us see, what do you mean by database? And when I'm jumping to the database, doesn't mean that you're done with the server side coding, guys. Still, there are a lot of things are there. But for now, let us jump to the database guy here. Now, when I go with the database, can you give me some examples? What are the examples for databases, guys? Anyone?
Means sir, names
Yes,
that
examples of the database.
MySQL,
My
MongoDB, Oracle,
MySQL server is there. There is something
Oracle,
Oracle, MongoDB,
MongoDB.
okay, Access, etc. There are a lot of databases available. Thousands and millions of products are available. Okay, so when you go to any of the database here, every database is storing the data in a organized format. Okay, super fine. Now, among all this, what actually we are going here? We are going with the database called as Mongo database. Okay, so let us talk a bit of MongoDB for today, guys. Tomorrow, I will practically show you what all to be done for making use of the MongoDB. Okay, I mean, practically, how do you work with the MongoDB, etc. We'll see tomorrow. But today, theoretically, at least stay. Why the reason MongoDB? Why not you're going with the RDBMS? You might be having an idea of RDBMS. RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. Okay, so how you're going to store multiple database and you're going to put some relations. There is a concept of accessing the data from multiple servers or multiple tables, which we call it as joins, outer joins, inner joins, etc. and all. Okay, that's a different part anyway. So among all this database, we are going with the MongoDB. The first thing is when you go into this paint, let me show you the example again. We already know what I mean by Ajax here. UI will interact with the client and the client will UI will interact with the server guy. Server will put a request to the database. Database in return responds back to the user. I mean the server. This guy will respond back to you. So when you say this guy is a server, when the server is capable of interacting with the this guy is called as a database, and this guy is called as the client. Okay, so when the client is interacting with the server, when the server need to go into any of the database, every server is capable of hitting any of the database. Example, if you go to the server called as node.js, or you go with the Java, you go with the Apache, JBoss, WebLogic, any of the database, any of the server you go, every server is having their own drivers to interact with any of the database. It can be SQL, it could be Oracle, it can be Mongo, it could be Access, anything it is capable of interacting with. Okay, that is the reason you can choose the one what you wanted. So now what we are choosing is, we are going with the MongoDB, the most powerful database nowadays in the market. Okay, the reason why MongoDB is so popular. The very first reason is, okay, before talking about the advantages of the MongoDB, if I ask you a question, among all the data structures, remember there are a lot of data structure we have already seen, like arrays, JSON, objects. We haven't seen the sets and maps, which is part of your ECMA 6. I will discuss at that time. So when you have, when you, what do you say? What I was discussing, man, why I'm losing this. Yeah, when you have this multiple data structures, can you tell me among all the data structures, which is more preferred?
JSON, sir.
Obviously, it is JSON. We already know that, because we at the time of JSON, we already saw that any number of data can be inserted in the JSON. Easily you could able to retrieve it. Easily you can insert it. Easily you can update it, delete, etc. and all. You simply say object dot key, etc. So there are there are lots and lots of important what do you say what I can say, lots and lots of databases are available, but among all this, JSON is the one which is more popular here, JSON data structure. Now, why MongoDB here? When you go into n number of databases, every database, I mean, any of the database, RDBMS database you go, it always stores the data in the form of tables. Okay, it always stores the data in the form of tables. Now, when you store the data in the form of tables, do you think it is easy to retrieve and insert, etc. and all? Yes, boss, it can be retrieved. You can simply put some queries, isn't it? If you have an idea, we used to say something called as select start from so and so table, create table, insert table, delete table, etc. etc. We used to create it. We used to put some queries. Now, what people are saying is there are some limitations you have with the tables. Okay, whenever you are storing the data in the form of tables, there is some limitation. What is that limitation here? The very first thing, let's take a practical example. Assume I'm going for a school of say some fifth standard school. I'm going over there. I want to create a database. Under that, I would like to store all the details of the students. Okay, I'm going for a school and I want to store the data of all the students in the particular, fifth class student here. Now I'm taking the details, something like name. Okay, I say age, gender, location, passport number, and PAN card. Okay, I want to read the username or the student name, following with his name, following with his gender, following with his location, passport number, and a PAN card. There is a chance for every other student or whoever it is, they might be having a passport number or PAN card number. That's common, right? Now, assume there are some 100 students in my class. Okay, 100 students in my class. And the next thing is, can you expect every student within the class will have the passport number and PAN card number?
No, sir.
No, there could be an optional, right? The name, age, gender, and location are going to be mandatory. But coming to the passport and PAN card, it is not mandatory because not every student will be having it. What if among all the 100 students, only 2 students are having the passport and PAN card? Okay, so I have some 100 students. Among that, 2 students only are having the passport and PAN card. Now, when you're creating a table, what you will do for the other data? Aren't we inserting some null data for the passport and PAN card?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right? So instead of, as we don't have the data to be stored, we simply create a null and we are going to do that. So just for 2 students, there is a passport and PAN card. But for remaining 98 members, we are storing the null value. That is not at all recommended. Okay, so how do I avoid this? To not to store this null, etc. and all? The problem the limitation what you have with the tables is every record within the table or every row within the table should have the same type of structure. Okay, one row is having name, age, and gender. Second row is having some address, pin, and all. It is not possible. All the rows within the table should have the same structure. Value could be different, isn't it? Now, this is where people have come up with a solution called as MongoDB. So what people thought is, boss, when we know that among all the data structure, JSON is the data type which is capable of storing any type of data in the form of key value pairs, easy to retrieve, easy to store, easy to update, delete, whatever it is. Then why don't we go a database where all the data gets stored in the form of JSON objects? Okay, so that is where the startup of this MongoDB has come. The main advantage what you have with the MongoDB comparative with the other databases is, in case of your MongoDB, it is not going to work on the tables. It is going to work on the what do you say? It is going to work on the JSON objects. Here we don't call it as a table. Instead, we call it as a collection. A collection is group of records, group of rows, etc. Okay, under the collection, the data gets stored in the form of key and value pairs. Okay, Now the advantage what you have is, say for example, for the first student, I say name, say some colon so and so, age colon so and so, uh, age colon so and so, location colon so and so, PAN card colon so and so. This is what I'm going to do. Now, when I'm going for the second student, okay, if at all he is not having the location, sorry, not the location, I say he's not having the passport, I can still create this, right? Yes or no? Is it is mandatory that every JSON object should have the same structure under an array of objects?
No, sir.
No, right? I can create an array, any number of objects I can create, and not every object should have the same structure. You can have the structure as you, you can have the structure the way you want it, isn't it? So this is where you have the concept of, this is where the MongoDB is making the uniqueness when compared with your other database. The other databases are storing the data in the form of tables, whereas MongoDB is storing the data in the form of collections. And what do you mean by collection? A collection is a combination of record, or we say like a key and value pair. Okay, let me show you one of the picture comparing JSON, comparing Rdbms with MongoDB. Go with the image. There is a very beautiful image we have. Yeah, this is the one. So this is how you can actually compare the existing Mongo database with the existing Rdbms, guys. So the left side is Rdbms, relational database management system. Right side is the MongoDB. In both the cases, we call it as a database. Under that, in Rdbms, we call it as tables, whereas in MongoDB, we call it as collections. In your DBMS, we call a individual row as a row, whereas in case of MongoDB, it will be called as a document, individual document.
Documents means JSON files, right?
Yes, exactly. JSON is a single document is a single row, which is in the form of key value pairs, which is a JSON object.
Okay, sir.
Under the row, you will be having multiple columns. Here, instead of column, we call it as a fields, where you have the key and value, right? The key is all we call
Yes,
it
sir.
as fields. So this is how the difference between the MongoDB and the RDBMS is going to have, guys. Okay. So there are lots and lots of advantages you have. It is free of cost available, MongoDB. Okay. It supports all the other things. I mean, very, very easy to store the data, easy to retrieve the data. I mean, whatever the advantages you have with the JSON object, all the advantages you can even find within the MongoDB also. Okay. That is the reason it is mostly recommended. And among this, by tomorrow, what actually we can do is we can get installation of the MongoDB. Okay. So how do you install the MongoDB here? Go and visit MongoDB. Under that, there is an option called as products. Under that, there is an option called as community edition. Under that, you can go with the community server. Okay, enterprise is a paid version, whereas community is a free of cost. You can simply click on this guy, community version. Then it might be asking this. Okay, it is saying that available downloads 5.05. Again, you know that you need to remember this version number. 5.05 is the latest version. What type of platform it is, what type of package you wanted. Now I simply click on download. Okay, so you will be downloaded with a MSI Microsoft installer. It's a simple double click process, guys. Okay, and when you are clicking keep on next, in between it will ask you, do you want to install Mongo Compass or not? You simply say yes to that. Okay, and once you install that guy, let us see how it is available. In my PC, go to C drive, program files, MongoDB. Oh, MongoDB is not there. Is it got removed? MongoDB is there. Now, once you install that complete MSI file, it is a very simple step process, guys. Next process. As I said, you in between, you will be having an option of, do you want to install the Compass or not? Please make sure you say yes for that. Okay. If you have any type of questions in installing the Mongo database, you can anytime ping me. I can help out. Okay. So on the top, you go with this. Once you install, you go into the MongoDB. There is a folder called a server. Under that, it will show you which version of MongoDB got installed. And under that, you go to the bin and click on this Mongo. It is going to open the command prompt. By default, Mongo database interaction is a CUI, character user interface. Okay, later I will even discuss the GUI also, which is called as Mongo Compass, but I'll do it later. But first of all, this is what the step you need to go for. Once I say ls, sorry, not ls, show db. When I say show db, don't know how to show it. Come on. Okay, or else I say dbs, db. Okay. Yeah, show dbs is a predefined command. So let us say cls. Once you install this guy, you just use this command called the show dbs. It should show some of the dbs. For me, I have 5 database, admin, config, and local. By default, system will give, but I created the shopping db and social done app. Okay, but it's up to you. You can go with any of the database name, but for up to this, you should able to do that, guys. You should able to see the list of databases, what are the by default in your system or whatever it is. It is not mandated that you will be have. So you will get the admin, config, and local. In my case, I'll be getting extra, but in your case, you should able to see this. Okay, there are some databases out there. If you could able to do up to this guy, tomorrow I'm going to talk about how to create a collection, how to insert the data. Those all things will be discussed in the tomorrow's class. Okay. So any questions up to this, guys? Anyone? And installation, let me ping this guy. Whoever is talking, it is very much disturbing. I mean, there is some disturbance is coming. Your voice is not clear. Maybe you can chat. You can please pass it. Okay, for us, I think yours only. Your voice is not audible for us, but some disturbance is coming. So please type the question. Yeah, any more questions, guys? Anyone regarding the topics what we discussed today?
No, sir.
Okay, so I want everyone to get ready with the JSON by tomorrow, guys. I mean, sorry, MongoDB installation by tomorrow. So tomorrow I will talk about how do we create collections, how do we retrieve the collections. We'll try some commands on the MongoDB. If time permits, I will show you. I will remove the hard coding data from the UI. We will see how to create a communication from the server to the database. Those things we are going to discuss, which is very important concept. Okay. So, okay, for us in single application, can we use 2 database? Yes, for us in a single application, you can make use of any number of database. There is no restriction that it has to be used only this. Okay. Okay, fine, guys. If you don't have any other questions, so let's pause for today.
Sir, in a single 2 different server can hit a single database.